10 minutes past 11, and we're going to our first guest, a very special lady indeed. Her name is Edwina Wrenn. She is a very young woman. She's 29 years of age and lives in Limerick. She's a full-time mum of two children, Jamie and Eloise. And you know, just like everybody else has trials and tribulations, but one thing made her very unique, and that was that as a baby she was born with her some of her organs outside her body. She was given the last rites, and who would have thought that she could have moved on the way she has into having what is essentially now a normal life, bearing in mind Exomphalos was the condition that she was diagnosed with. Edwina, you're very welcome. Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
It's my pleasure entirely, and congratulations to you, because it sounds like, bearing in mind what it was like to be born as a 3-pound 3-ounce baby, your chances of survival must have been very complicated indeed.
Yeah, they didn't think I'd survive at all, and I was given the last rites, and I was christened, and I was confirmed straight away. So they didn't think I'd make it because I was so tiny, and because of the Exomphalos was so large as well, compared to the size of my little body, you know,
yeah.
they didn't have any hope.
A lot of people would probably not be familiar with the possibility that, as rare as it is, there are people who are born with some of their internal organs located outside their body. It's a real complication. How did you cope? How did your parents cope?
It was a complete shock to them because ultrasounds weren't very common back then, so they didn't realise until I was born that I had the condition. So it was a complete shock, and very life-changing to try and come to terms with that very quickly, and then everything that happened so fast, you know, with the being christened and confirmed in the last rites, and then being transferred up to Dublin, and I was so far away from home, and I was so far away from them. You know, it was a lot to deal with for them.
I mean, I'm just trying to imagine all of this, but to explain it, I gather it's such a rare defect, but it's where the abdominal wall, where the intestines, the liver, and sometimes other organs stay in a clear sac outside the body. What happens in terms of treatment for that? Because obviously that would sound to me like you'd be extremely vulnerable.
Yeah, like there's a paint and wait procedure that a lot of babies get now. So it's like a bandage that kind of goes over the sac. But for me, I had to wait until I was a bit stronger. So just before my second birthday, they brought me back up to Crumlin, and I had the operation to put my liver and intestines back into my body. A lot of babies, it's like Exomphalos babies are very different to each other. A lot of them have other health complications, so they're all very different. So they, like some babies, maybe 2 days after they're born, can have the operation straight away because they're that bit stronger. They might be like 8 pounds when they're born. It's all very, each case is very different. But for me, I had to wait until I was 2 to have my organs put back in.
And that, of course, would have been major surgery.
Yeah, it was. I was 9 days above in Crumlin from like start to finish. And I got the best care up there, and they were all really lovely. And thankfully it all went well, and I came home and had a normal-ish life after that.
So I gather that, you know, at the end of the day, once the surgery was completed, you would have had a long scar down your abdomen, and a small price to pay was that you had no belly button. But it wasn't as simple as that once you went to school, was it?
No, like all I had was a long scar, so I look just like everyone else bar the belly button. And to me, I didn't really think anything of it until I went to school. So I think it started when I was 5 or 6 years old. I started being bullied because I didn't have one. And that continued right up until I was 19 in school when I finished secondary school. And I thought, okay, you know, that'll stop. And then when I was an adult, it started up again. But most of the time, I don't think about the belly button. I forget about it. It's just...
well, I'm not surprised. I mean, being perfectly honest with you, after looking at everything else that your poor little body at the time had to go through, and then corrective surgery, which thankfully you survived and gave you a chance at a normal life, to think that bullying ended up being an issue for you, having come through all that, and bullying by children at school. I mean, looking back on that, what did you put it down to? Was it just insensitivity, ignorance? What on earth made people so cruel after everything you'd been through?
I really don't know. I don't know if it's because they were uneducated on the topic, but like a lot of them, they knew me since I was 5 or 6, and then the rest would have known me from secondary school, from first year on. So they would have learned about, and I would have spoken about how, I nearly died when I was little, that I overcome it and stuff. So they would have known the severity of it, and that it was a very serious thing to happen to me when I was a baby, and that I survived it. So I don't understand how they could be so nasty and cruel to call me names constantly. I know a lot of the parents kind of grown up, they, from hearing back now, like they thought, I guess it was probably ignorance, because a lot of the kids heard it from their parents that I was born inside out.
Okay.
Instead of trying to learn about it properly, so then I got the nickname Inside Out Girl, which I hated.
Mm-hmm.
And that lasted all the way up into my adult life. But I just don't understand their mentality of how they think it's okay. Because in both like primary and secondary school, we were taught about bullying and how it's wrong and the effects of it. So I just don't understand.
Yeah, naturally.
Why they would
I don't
so
either,
cruel.
for what it's worth. But it does show a callousness and a lack of sensitivity. And unfortunately, when it comes to the label of a bully, that is often part and parcel of their personality. And I guess the only thing you can take control of is how that impacts on you. And you seem to have done that very well. You've gone on to have a lovely little family yourself. What's it like being a mum?
It's interesting. I never thought I'd actually have kids. I was told that I couldn't because of my stomach, but thankfully that wasn't true.
Well done.
I was able to have my first son Jamie in 2012 and then my daughter Eloise in 2014, and I love it. I wouldn't have changed a thing. Even though I was a young mom, I still wouldn't have changed anything. Every day is different. They're very funny and they just come out with just very funny things, and like just watching them grow and seeing them learn things and taking things in is just amazing.
Well, good for you. I have to say, you're a wonderful young woman, and not only have you come through so much yourself, but you're of the view that others who may have what's ahead for them, shall we say, what you went through, you have a support group which I believe you were very involved in. Tell me a little bit about what prompted you to do that.
So around 2010 I started looking into my condition because I never knew anything about it, and I came across UK support groups for the condition and American ones. And as I looked over it over the next coming years, I noticed that there was no support in Ireland at all. And in June 2015, I decided to start up the only Irish support group. And we have, at the moment, 17 families and 6 adult survivors, including myself, in the group. And we also have family members of those families who are part of the group who can kind of talk to other people and kind of learn about the condition and what's ahead of them, so they can provide support for their families as well. Since my article came out on Friday in the journal, 2 families have come forward to join the support group, which was lovely, and I love that my story is reaching other people, so they're not feeling alone and that they have the support and they know that it's out there.
Good for you. Good for you.
That's very important to me.
And I'd imagine very cathartic as well to be able to share your story, share your experiences, and realise that you're not alone.
Yes, I found it very therapeutic to kind of speak out about it, and like knowing that I've helped other people, and you know, like they've come back and thanked me for sharing my story as well is really lovely. And
on a final note,
it's a nice
Edwina,
feeling.
just for the likes of the cruelness that's in the world and cruelness you experienced yourself firsthand, what advice would you give to maybe a young person who is at an earlier stage of coming to terms with all of this? What is the best code to survive?
To survive bullying, is it?
Bullying and the condition.
To speak to a family member, speak to a teacher, or try and reach out to a helpline like Childline if you're like a young person, or Samaritans maybe.
Not to be alone.
Just reach out to anyone, talk to someone, and it'll really help you.
Very good. And lastly, for contact details, we should give people a reminder. If they want to get in touch with a support group, what would be the best way for them to find you?
To go on Facebook and type in Exomphalos Omphalocele awareness, and you'll find my awareness page, and on that page you'll see the link to the Irish support group.
Well, can I just say on a personal note, huge admiration for you, inspiration. That's what I would say to you. Well done, and wear that badge proudly.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. Regards to the little family. All the best. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye.
What a wonderful young lady, 29 years of age, having come through so much. A young mum, 2 beautiful children, and just sharing the story of her life so far, which has been checkered with hardship, but hardship that in many ways one could describe as unnecessary when it came to the added layer of bullying from peers on top of everything else. Support group available for people, a rare condition, but nonetheless a condition that is out there.